All right, guys. So we're gonna start with what I feel like is the most important part, and it's gonna be our warm up. I'm gonna put this breakdown in the app, so it'll be the shorter version. But for this video, it's gonna be pretty long. So as far as our equipment and what you're gonna need, it's gonna look like this. You have your barbell, a PVC pipe, a foam roller, lacrosse balls. I have two bands for the purpose of this video, a kettlebell, and then we're just gonna hook that up to the rig here. So I'm just gonna like zoom out and you can see this. Also, for the purpose of this workout or this warm up, I put a skier, a row, and a bike, and we're gonna utilize those for our warm up. So we're gonna start with the hip series, and I'm just gonna walk you through what the warm up will look like. And in the app, again, it's gonna be a full breakdown in order of what it's gonna look like. All right, so I'm gonna start with the hips. I'm gonna take a band, and I'm gonna take this band, and I'm gonna wrap it at the waist level through, and we're gonna start with the right leg. Um, with that, I also like to, at least this is just for my preference, I like to take either lacrosse balls or softball, and we're gonna smash our calves at the same time as we open up our hips. And the reason why I do this is especially a lot of the movements that we do, a lot of our movements requires us to open up our ankles and hips, our feet. So I'm gonna take this lacrosse ball and I'm gonna smash it along the line of my calf while I open up my hips. This is gonna help me open up my ankles. It seems a little weird at first, but I used to always get strains in my calves, either from double unders or box jump overs and things like that. So this has really helped me open up my ankles and calves and prevent those strains from happening. It doesn't happen as often. So that's the whole point of me putting up this warm-up routine, is to help you guys have injury prevention. So I have my calves on, being smashed, and we're gonna start with the right leg. And I'm gonna go through the quick version. This video is gonna be pretty long, so I'm gonna try and get through each piece pretty quick. So I'm gonna have my right leg forward, the band's in my right leg. I'm gonna put a little tension on the band, and I'm gonna try and straighten my front leg as I put my hands down on the floor. So as you get more flexible, we're looking to straighten that front hamstring. And I'm just gonna hold each one for about 10 seconds here. Depending on how you feel that day, you might hold up to 30 seconds or even a minute in each one of these positions. And again, depending on what needs more attention in your warm-ups, you might hold these a little bit longer or maybe even go through it twice. Okay, so once I'm here, I hold for 10 seconds. All we're gonna do is we're just gonna make a quarter turn to the right. I want tension on the band. I'm gonna step forward and I'm gonna walk my body into my squat position. I'm gonna take my inside elbow. I'm gonna touch my inside elbow. If I can get both elbows down, I'm gonna hold here for 10 seconds. Once I hold for 10 seconds, we're gonna reach up towards the ceiling and back down. And I'm gonna do this 5 to 10 reps. I'm reaching up. All I'm trying to do is get my body, my leg that's forward in a good squat position. My feet are flat, my heels are down, my toes are down. Once I'm here, I'm going to open up my hamstring. I'm going to push away, and I'm going to try and straighten my hamstring, and I'm going to come back down. I'm going to do this 5 to 10 reps, pushing down, just opening up that squat position, pushing down, opening up, pushing down. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to make another quarter turn to the right, and I'm going to adjust the band so it's underneath my hip. With this, I'm going to step back with that same leg. My right knee's going to go down. And this stretch, we're going to try and open up your hip flexors and quads. So with this, you want to make sure that you'll see a lot of people will kind of just lean forward in this. What I want to do is I actually want to put my body weight into the band. So I want to push back, and when I push back, I'm going to tuck my hips underneath, and I'm going to push my rib cage down. So the band is actually pulling forward to open up my hip flexor, and I'm going to get a stretch all the way down to my knee, opening up my quads. Okay, so this isn't wrong, it's just a different stretch. So we're just going for that hip flexor quad all the way down to the knee, opening up. So again, I'm going to hold this for about 10 seconds. And then from here, we're going to go into a pigeon stretch. So with my right leg, I'm going to hook the band. So I'm just going to put my right hand down, and I'm going to hook my right leg forward. So now the band's going to pull my hip towards the rig, and I'm going to get my back knee down towards the floor, and then I'm going to reach forward, and I'm going to try and get as long as I can. What you want to focus on here is actually getting your glute on the floor and my hips straight on. Okay? If I can get to this position, then I can lean forward and get as long as I possibly can and hold. Again, you can hold each one of these positions for about 20 to 30 seconds, maybe even longer if you just need a little bit more time to open up your hips. So the last stretch on this, it's kind of what I call a pretzel stretch. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up and I'm going to lay on my back. What I'm going to do is keep my leg hooked in the band. So I'm just going to roll back. My left leg's going to come up. My right leg's going to hook over. And then from here, I'm going to push this knee out and then roll over to the side. Once I'm here, I'm just going to open up and lay like so. Okay, so what we've done with this stretch routine is we have basically covered our hamstrings, quads, glutes, all of that in one morning, all in one, to open up your hips. Once I've done this, we're just going to switch sides, and you would do the whole process over again with your left leg. And that would be our hip series. Now we're going to start with our left leg, and we're going to open up our hips. So our left leg is forward. Again, tension in the band. You're just going to lean forward, and we're going to try and straighten that front hamstring. And we're just going to hold each one of these for about 10 or 20 seconds, opening up. And then this will finish our hip series. Again, our whole point of doing this is to open up our hips, our knees, and ankles so we can do our movements for our workout for today. So next, we're just going to turn to the left, quarter turn, and then we're going to drop the hip into my squat. So I'm doing both sides so you can see both angles. If you look at my foot, that's forward. I'm trying to get this to look exactly what it would look like in a squat. So I'm going to try and get my body in as deep as possible in the squat so I can really, really get my hips open and get my ankles. So if you look at my foot, I'm trying to keep my foot down. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll push my knee out to line up with my ankle and toe, right? Just like you would in a squat. So just gonna hold that. And then let's do this. Inside elbow touches the floor, and then we're gonna reach up toward the ceiling, and we're gonna do this 5 times. I'm turning and opening up. This will be 5 to 10 reps. And again, I'm trying to get into my deepest squat possible. Some of you guys that are really flexible, I could probably get your quad or hip flexor all the way down to the floor. Just depends on how mobile you are. And then we're going to stay in that position and straighten our hamstring and push away and come back down into our squat. So this makes it more of like that dynamic style warm up, really opening up the hamstrings, pushing away, back down. Again, 5 to 10 reps, pushing away. And then we're gonna make that quarter turn and adjust the band so it's right underneath the glute. Put tension on the band, step back, my back knee goes down. And then again, from here, we're pushing our body away from the band, and you're gonna tuck your hips underneath and push your rib cage down. So you're gonna get that stretch in your hip flexor and quad, going all the way down to the floor to really open up. So remember, don't lean forward. Don't lean forward into the stretch. We wanna use the band and push back. So then that way the band is actually pushing or pulling or doing the stretch for us. Again, 10 to 20 seconds. And then we're gonna sweep that leg underneath to the left and hook the band into a pigeon stretch. So I put my hand on the floor, sweep my hips underneath. Our goal is to have our glute touch the floor and our back knee should be facing down. So until you lean forward, you should be upright and try and get your hip down to the floor. So I'm gonna kind of walk my body down and then lean forward once your hip is down. And then you can reach forward with your arms. Again, holding. Some of you on these stretches will have one side tighter than the other. The whole point of doing these stretches is to, again, gain mobility over time. It should be something we're doing every day. So try and pay attention to that stuff while you're doing this. Again, 10 to 20 seconds. And then the last one, the pretzel stretch. I'm going to bring my right leg up. I'm going to lean back and I'm going to keep my body hooked. And I'm going to take my left foot and I'm going to put it over my quad. And I'm going to push my knee out and turn my whole body over. Once I'm here, again, we're trying to open up the hip. And I'm going to reach back and then just lay flat on the floor and open up. Ooh, that side's way tighter. And then, again, now you see that angle from both sides. You would do both legs before we move on to the next series. And then once I'm done, now my calves have been smashed and rolled out as well. So now we just move on to our shoulder series.